Now, I will take up the scholarship because I think that's probably what most people will be interested in. Hello. Hi everyone. Welcome back again to this channel. My name is Fola for those that don't know, and in this or on this channel we talk everything international students and application and you within the UK, especially when it comes to the context of UK scenario. So for this video, I want to take up from where I stopped about PhD and PhD application. So like I said in the previous video, I'm going to do a series on PhD and everything that you should know about PhD. What I'm sort of like intending to do, I think, if I can get to it, is to actually finish maybe the conversation aspect, and then we're going to sort of like a show and tell, practical type of aspect where I share my screen and show you some things. So I will decide if maybe I'll talk about a part and then I do a show and tell and then talk again, or do talk completely and then do show and tell afterwards, but we'll see. But for now, today on is going to be about talking. So I want to talk to you about PhD. The main thing I want to talk about PhD is aspect on self-funding, so sort of like the fee part of a PhD, so self-funding or sponsorship type of PhD. So I'm very sure for those that are interested in PhD, you would know that there are two main types of PhD when it comes to funding, which is the self-funding type and the scholarship or funded option. Now, obviously, we all would like to have the funded option, but in some scenarios that might not be possible. So we do have the self-funding option, and some people do take it. I know quite a few people that are currently on self-funding PhD at the moment. They just see it as an investment because in most cases it does come back to pay back all that you spent on it. So it's just an option. What I would suggest or what I would encourage is don't wait on it must be scholarship and years go by and eventually you find out you're not doing it anymore because you just can't seem to get around that. If you want to do a PhD, definitely explore the scholarship option. But if that's not coming forth as soon as it should be, then maybe think about self-funding routes as well. So but anyway, the two, so for now I will take up the scholarship because I think that's probably what most people will be interested in. For now, I will take up the scholarship because I think that's probably what most people will be interested in. So in funded PhD, there are also mainly two types. There are other types, but mainly two types. So in the in the funded PhD, you would have the PhD that is funded by possibly the university itself that you're going to apply into. So they have a funding that they get from I'm not going to go into too much jazz about that. They call it ref, or so it's sort of like a national allocation that is sent to the university based on the research outputs that they have. So PhD is one of the things that they really spend that money on. So they send that money to each department or each faculty in the university, and then they use it to recruit PhD students. Most of the time for such scholarship, it will mostly be tuition fee waiver. So that means 100% you're not going to be paying for any tuition, but they most likely will not fund maintenance money in that such scholarship. Obviously it depends, because some you would also get funding for maintenance as well. Now the other main one is the PhD on studentship. So for that one, it means that they would most likely have funding from funding bodies like the like the Wellcome Trust, like medical research councils, yeah, like just different places that they are funding, and maybe lecturer or group of lecturers would apply and get that funding, and part of what they will use that funding to do would be that they will recruit a PhD student or candidates that would be part of that research thing. Now I'm going to break down each one as fast as I can. So for the first one, which is free tuition, most likely you would be encouraged to submit a proposal on any topic that has to do with PhD, right? Any topic that can qualify for a PhD funding. My suggestion in this case is if if you find such an advert, try and look at the university and what their area of research is about, and then write a nice proposal that would link to that place that they are interested in. Because you can't, if you're not strategic, you submit any proposal and they're like, oh, this is nice, but we're not interested, you might not get the funding. So try and do sort of like a bit of research on the university and their focus before you write a proposal. So that gives you a flexibility most time that you can decide what area, you know, that you really want to focus in, because obviously research is massive. Even in for example, I'm interested in diabetes, right? Even in diabetes, there's like countless areas in diabetes that you can research on. So that gives you that flexibility most times. The other option, sorry, is the studentship one. So with the studentship one, that's a bit on the different side of the scenario, because most of the time the advert for that one comes with a nice proposal that's already written. So because they know the research they want to do, that's why they got the funding for it. So there's a research already on ground that is being designed, and all you have. So then they put the proposal, the advert out, and say, you need to apply. In this case, you still need to write a proposal, but your proposal will be based on what they are researching, what they're going to research. So you have to make sure that everything you write, your skills and your capability and things that you can do, and your qualification, of course, they align to that proposal they already have for that research. But the proposal, the way you will write the proposal is, they might give you a proposal. The proposal doesn't give you the in-depth of this is exactly what we're going to do. In most cases, they just tell you this is what we're interested in. So the overarching aim of that research is what they sort of like give you an information on why it's important. So now you need to then dig and write a nice proposal on, based on this aim. If we're going to achieve this aim, I think we're going to go this and this and this, and these objectives will be nice for us to, and then tailor how you're going to meet those objectives in terms of your skills and ability. So that gives them an idea, right? Okay, this person is proposing something in this regard. So although it will still be the same aim, but you are going to be, from your own lens, how you see the advert, and then you tailor your proposal in that direction. So the problem, or I mean, if you think about it, it's not really a problem, but the part of this one that might not be enticing really is that it limits you. It limits you in terms of how vast or what type of research you would like to design. So some people, it might not necessarily, they might have the skills, but that is not necessarily what they want to do. But because it's funded and it also pays for your maintenance, so you might sometimes, you know, for example, I'm interested in diabetes, like I said, and I see a proposal, or I see an advert for maybe cancer research. I'm not necessarily interested in cancer research per se, but I can still do such a research. I might have to then change my focus from maybe diabetes or, you know, whatever disease or condition to cancer research because of that advert. So does that make sense? So to an extent, the first one gives you a bit of freedom on, you might still be able to stay within your area of interest, but you most likely will be funded only for tuition. And then the other one is that you would have you know, everything paid, but you most likely will be limited to what they want to do. And the same way, the first one, you're most likely you're flexible in terms of decisions you make, because your proposal is not necessarily exactly what you get at the end of your PhD. PhD changes, so where you're making decisions and you're changing and tweaking things, you're removing or adding things. For the other one, you're very, very limited, because the studentship one, you're very, very limited because your team has already promised some funders, this is what we're going to deliver. So even if it's difficult, it's almost a challenge to convince them we can't do this, because they've already made such a commitment. The other thing is that the first one, which is tuition fee only, most time your supervisors are less invasive in terms of your research and your decision. They just sort of like support you and let you have that freedom. But for studentship, because they pay you as well, and like I said, they already have commitment to funders, it makes it difficult. They sort of like are involved, and to an extent might be restricting you in what you want to do. But obviously, the payment in that type makes it a bit like, oh well, they're funding everything. So it all depends on what you see. Now that is for those two types of funding options. Now the self-funded is also there, but that one, like I mentioned, you're getting the money from your pocket. So for that one, I mean, you could also get scholarship from maybe your country of residence or your country of origin, sorry, and that sort of like translates, but you'll be registered as self-funded by the university because they don't have anything to do with the funding, but you bring it from your country or from pockets if it's from your family as well, irrespective, whichever one, they classify you as self-funded. So for the one that you're self-funded, you have a whole lot more control. Obviously it still has to be PhD standard and all, but you have a bit more control in terms of what you're doing and where you're taking your research to, as it may be. Obviously, it's a lot of money, so although you have control, you still want to look for scholarship. My advice would be look for scholarship maybe a year or two, and if that doesn't pan out, and if you're really ready to do a PhD, then think about options of self-funding if possible. Now self-funding, just to give you a bit of cost overview, so in self-funding you will be paying, depending on the school, but on average about £14,000, I would say, for an average university for you to get a PhD per year. So now you pay the same way the same way you pay for master's programs, while you pay for PhD. So it's instrumental, registration and the rest of that. And after that, when you finish that, you would also when you finish that payment, it now depends on the course you're studying. Some courses have lab base fee because they are lab and experimental type of like STEM type of course. If your course is around that area, there's also bench fee, depending on, I think, around £5,000 added to the initial cost. But if not, if you're like in my area, public health, which is more of humanity and social sciences, you do not have such payments to make, so you would only be paying for the actual fee. So I don't know if this sort of like gives you an idea. Oh, and if you're going to be funded, if it's the funded one, mostly that's how much they will pay for you. Now for those that are getting studentship, depending on the studentship, they will put how much they're going to pay you per month in the adverts that you will see. But for the studentship, it's mostly going to be about £1,002-ish per year, that per month, that they pay you every month. So about 1,002 to 1,000, maybe 3 or so, depending on the university, that they will pay you per month all the way through to the end of the year. So yeah, some studentship you will find they will pay you at home fee. So that means they will pay only the UK fee, and UK fee is about £9,000, and they would expect you to cover the difference, but they still pay you the maintenance fee. So it's almost like it's still the same. It's almost like a fee, like you will get the whole fee in there, but they are not going to pay you. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. They pay you the fee at UK price, which is about £9,000. You will pay the difference, but they still pay you the monthly maintenance as it is. So some scholarship for PhD are like that. Now for where you can find some of these things, just very briefly, some of these adverts, I would advise you go to jobs.ac.uk. so that's www.jobs.ac.uk. so that's where I see a lot of PhD adverts. Mostly they are funded, but you need to check if they are for international students as well as UK students, or they are only for UK students, so you know which one you're applying towards. There's also find a phd.com for you to also check, but at jobs.ac.uk, that place is like in abundance of every advert that you can imagine. So I would suggest you subscribe. I subscribed then, so I would suggest you subscribe to it, and they just send you adverts of PhD around your area, so you can continuously see and even get used to the kind of requirements or the kind of research that they are interested in your area, and sort of like work towards that. For those that are in master's program, I would suggest you actually subscribe to that so that you tailor what you're going to be doing and how you're going to present yourself. So by the time you finish your masters, you're almost sort of like aware of what's happening research wise in your area, and you can use that to apply for a PhD. So do that, and yeah, I would say best of luck. So anyway, this video is getting super long, so this is the end of this video. I will come back, like I said, with sort of like the practical aspects to all these things I'm saying in terms of PhD. So how to get search for PhD adverts, how to get those funding, not how to. So I would do sort of like a practical aspect of all these things I'm talking about, where we look at how you search for PhD adverts, how to, subscribe to those mailing lists, and, check your email regularly for updates on the kind of adverts and research that are being done in your area of interest. So until the next time, remember, this is your one-stop. I'm trying to make this channel to your one-stop shop as an international student for everything that has to do with education abroad, especially in the UK. So keep it locked down, and I will see you on another one. Bye bye.